Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. YouTube, what is good? It's your boy NOT, and we are here with the video from Flight Mike this time. Now, this video is titled 11 NBA stars who are about to be traded. Hey, man, I haven't been keeping up with the season like that. I told you guys in my previous video that I haven't really been into, basketball and watching it like that since I've been covering NBA highlights. But we are here with it, and let's get into it, man. Let's see what this video is talking about. This is a 23-minute video. 23 minutes. Probably gonna be very minimal pausing. I'm gonna see if I could do a 2-in-1 in this one, if I have enough time to edit this one and then turn around and do the next one. But yes, sir, man, we are here with this video, and let's go ahead and get straight into it, man.
Oh, it's that time. It is my favorite time of the year. Every single year, at least 2 to 3 times a year, I'll make a video about NBA stars who are about to be traded. And lately, trades have been getting a little crazy. We've been seeing teams essentially gutting out their entire futures for the opportunity to acquire a star in their prime. Some making more sense than others.
Gotta stay
hydrated.
Before
we get to the content, I'm recording this video for you guys on my birthday.
Happy birthday, man. Happy belated birthday, Flight Mike.
Subscribe and turn on our notifications. And if you want to go the extra mile to get me a little present, you could join our channel memberships program in the description down below, or just enjoy the content. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro.
He's got the best intros, I'm telling you. The best intros. He's got, bro, that intro is so clean, I'm not gonna lie.
For the sponsorship. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Kevin Durant, in an interview with Chris B. Haynes, Brooklyn Nets superstar Kevin Durant had this to say about his teammates. Look at our starting lineup. Edmund Sumner, Royce O'Neal, Joe Harris, Nick Claxton, and myself. It's not disrespect, but what are you expecting from that group? You expect us to win because I'm out there. So if you're watching from that lens, you're expecting us to play well because number 7 is out there. A few days later, Kevin Durant would clarify these comments weren't meant in vain, but he meant them as a means to protect his teammates from high expectations. Which, if that was the goal, a private one-on-one conversation might have done a lot more good, rather than name drop your entire starting 5 on a Bleacher Report interview.
That is very...
just some food for thought. It wouldn't be a shock if Kevin Durant actually did want to protect his teammates, and a part of me actually feels that way. But also, in the same breath, it wouldn't be a shock if he wanted to trade as well. Kevin Durant clearly feels like the team isn't ready to compete, and the clock is ticking on Kevin Durant's productivity.
Before we guess, this is the first pause, but first thing I want to say is Kevin Durant, I totally agree with this man. His time is running out. He's 34 years old. Now is not the time to be dealing with drama, man. Now is not the time to be dealing with drama, man. It's now or never. It's now or never to prove yourself to those people that you can do it yourself. Ever since leaving the Golden State Warriors, man. So, his window is closing. He's got to find a contending team that, doesn't have drama going on. Most importantly, his window, he's got I don't know. But KD, he's got that longevity. He's still putting up crazy numbers. So maybe he does have a little bit longer than we think.
I know you're looking at LeBron James and his ability to sustain his greatness for the period of time that he's been able to, but Kevin Durant is 34 years old and he's also coming off of an Achilles tear, so we don't know how much longer he'll be able to sustain this level of production for. His contract has him locked up until the end of the 2025 season. Kevin Durant probably wants his prime to be remembered trying to win a championship, not fighting for the last spot in the playoffs. Teams that could acquire Kevin Durant would be few and far between, seeing as Durant wants to be on a potential contender, and only a few teams can even afford to trade for Kevin Durant to begin with. Some of the teams that could acquire Durant would be the 76ers, the Suns, maybe even the New Orleans Pelicans, but the issue remains the same. How many assets do you give up for a 34-year-old superstar like Kevin Durant? Teams aren't going to be willing to part with their young assets in order to get what could potentially be 1 to 2, maybe even 3 years of a productive Kevin Durant. Durant. It doesn't make sense to trade 3 or 4 future first-round picks for a superstar, but from the Brooklyn Nets perspective, they're already depleted of assets. They're not going to give up Kevin Durant for just anyone, and that's why Kevin Durant is currently on the Brooklyn Nets and might be for the rest of the year. But there's a former teammate of his that might be in a different situation. Russell Westbrook is a triple-double machine, a human highlight reel, an athletic anomaly.
Here we go, man. Here we go with this Russell Westbrook stuff.
The Los Angeles Lakers have struggled so
Here
much
we go.
to figure out how to utilize Russell Westbrook properly that they decided to bring him off of the bench. Now, Russell Westbrook coming off of the bench this season has averaged nearly 16 points, 5 boards, and 7 assists per game. But for some reason, no NBA team will even come close to him. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Russell Westbrook's cap hit this season is nearly $50 million. That's right. Last offseason, the Brody picked up his player option and is owed $47 million by the Los Angeles Lakers. He is without a doubt the most expensive sixth man in NBA history. Another reason NBA teams are reluctant to trade for Westbrook is because after the LeBron and Westbrook experiment didn't just fail but exploded in Los Angeles, teams aren't so sure adding Russell Westbrook to their roster will be a positive because it could even be a negative. Before the season, the Lakers reportedly offered a package to the Spurs, including Russell Westbrook and a lottery protected first round pick in exchange for Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott. However, the Spurs turned that down, citing that they wanted an unprotected pick in exchange for paying Russell Westbrook's full salary for a year because they intended to simply waive Westbrook. Right now, Russell Westbrook's stock isn't necessarily at an all-time low, but it isn't necessarily what it was when he was leaving Oklahoma City, if you get what I'm saying. So instead of getting compensation back, the Lakers are trying to add picks to get him off their roster. Many speculated that Russell Westbrook could be involved in a trade for Buddy Hield or Miles Turner, but as his stock keeps on nosediving, that seems more and more unlikely. In addition to that, Miles Turner could without a doubt be traded to the Lakers and leave in the offseason after the Lakers have to give up future first round picks in order to trade for him to begin with. So just like Kevin Durant, this situation is a little sticky, and to be honest, the next player on this list might be just as sticky because Kyrie Irving's basketball stock is at an all-time low for the simple fact that in 4 seasons with the Brooklyn Nets, he has just played in 113 games compared to the 127 that he played in Boston in just 2 seasons. This is even more mind-boggling when you consider the fact that he also sustained an injury when he was with the Boston Celtics as well. So the Brooklyn Nets have entertained moving on from both Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, indicating that they want to try and blow up their team of stars in order to try to recoup some of the draft capital they spent in the first place. Unlike some of the previous players on this list, Kyrie Irving isn't in his mid-30s. In fact, he just turned 30 and has plenty of prime years ahead of him, meaning that whichever team wants to pull the trigger on Kyrie Irving probably intends to keep him around for the long term. But that's the problem. Kyrie Irving is without a doubt one of the most talented basketball players we've ever seen in NBA history. The problem with him is he's a little volatile in terms of his behavior. You never know what you're going to get from him. We brought this up in the past. There was a point where Kyrie Irving demanded a trade from the Cleveland Cavaliers to the Boston Celtics because he wanted to be the franchise cornerstone for a team. And in Boston, he was just that. He had a team of young stars who looked up to him and respected him, and still respect him, by the way. But after 2 seasons in Boston, he decided that situation wasn't for him. He decided to go to the Brooklyn Nets and team up with Kevin Durant. And in Brooklyn, every single year, it's been a different story. In year 1, he was dealing with an injury. In year 2, he was a part-time player and took a lot of personal time off. In year 3, he had vaccine drama. And in year 4, he recently got into some trouble over posting an anti-Semitic documentary onto his social media. But now he's back. The issue is, if you trade for Kyrie Irving, his contract expires after this year. So for all you know, he could get up and sign with another team in free agency. And he's already committed to his existing team before.
Hey, that scout, I joined him, but I shared it with some of my teammates as well as the organization and everyone else in Boston. If you guys will have me back, I plan on re-signing here next year.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
The greatest cap of all time in NBA history. This is the greatest cap in NBA history, ladies and gentlemen. Kyrie Irving, the man himself.
So
And that didn't really mean much, but in 10 games so far,
that's why they hate him so much.
25, 5, and 4, showing the NBA that he is still one of the best, if not the best ball handler in the league. His $36 million cap hit is a lot easier to trade for than some of the more exorbitant contracts on this list. Now, some teams that would look to acquire Kyrie Irving is without a doubt the Los Angeles Lakers, but other teams aside from the Lakers include the Dallas Mavericks, who would love to find a spark to partner with Luka Doncic, and lastly, the Miami Heat, which is a team that would do anything right now in order to win an NBA
Dallas,
championship.
Luka,
For the
and
Lakers,
Kyrie?
a Kyrie
Bro,
trade
that's
would
nice.
most likely mean
That is
bringing
nice.
in a third team to dump the Westbrook contract and hoping that Irving fits with the Lakers roster better than Westbrook. As for the Mavericks and Heat, if they can bring in Kyrie, he automatically makes both teams serious contenders. Similar to the next player on this list, who's an elite shooter that any team would love to have, but there's just
Klay
one
Thompson.
problem. From the start of the
Duncan
2019
Robinson.
season to the end of the 2022 season last year, Duncan
thought it was Klay
Robinson shot
Thompson.
an elite 41% from 3 on 8+ attempts per game. He earned himself the biggest contract ever in NBA history at the time for an undrafted player, signing a 5-year, $90 million deal to stay with the Miami
5
Heat.
years,
But in
90 million.
2022, Duncan Robinson had completely fallen off of the face of the earth, shooting a mediocre 30% from 3 and less than 40% from the field. With Max Strus and Caleb Martin emerging as solid rotational pieces, Duncan Robinson has lost his spot in the rotation, and currently the Miami Heat have nearly $17 million sitting on the bench just to cheerlead the rest of the roster, and that number increases by 2026.
They did it too
Miami
quick, man.
Heat will be looking to get rid of this mistake of a contract, but just because it was a mistake for the Heat doesn't
The Heat, they did that too quick, man. They had Duncan Robinson play good for a little bit. Then he was like, all right, let's give him 5 years, 90 million. This guy is a beast. And now they have $90 million in total sitting on the bench, bro. That's crazy.
mean he will be bad for whatever team trades for him. Robinson is a three-point specialist, and anyone who knows anything about shooting the basketball knows that shooters can be streaky, and if they mess up their shot in one game, they can just as easily get it right back in one game as well. Three teams that could acquire Robinson would be the New York Knicks, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and if the Los Angeles Lakers want to take a huge risk and not necessarily have to part with any of their draft picks in any type of trade, including Russell Westbrook, they would be included as well, although I think it's very unlikely. Now, what do all three of these teams have in common? For starters, they're all in search of extra depth in order to make a playoff run, and secondly, they all rank bottom 5 in team 3-point percentage, with the Lakers and the Knicks being 1 and 2 on that list. Whoever acquires Duncan Robinson will need to get him out of that shooting rut in order for it to be a good trade, though. Unlike the next player on this list, who would be a welcome addition to any NBA team. Miles Turner is having a career season, averaging over 17 points, 8.5 boards, and 3 blocks on the best shooting percentages of his career. Turner's in the last season of his 4-year, $80 million contract.
He's finally doing something.
That he signed at the end of his rookie contract. And now after the Pacers are
Bro's been there since Paul George left, and finally is doing something.
Miles Turner's trade value is at an all-time high. The Pacers' window for contention might be a little closer than some anticipated, with Tyrese Halliburton breaking out and rookie Benedict Mathurin proving to be way better than any of us thought he would. But the
Benedict
Pacers
Mathurin
feel
is a
that
beast.
they can gain more by
I don't care what
Miles
nobody
Turner
says. He's a
now,
beast.
as opposed to keeping him on the roster next season by signing a brand new max contract.
I think he might be first team all rookie this season for real. I don't know about rookie of the year.
Team he could be
I got that being Paolo Banchero,
the Los Angeles Clippers. For the Lakers, this trade would involve offloading Russell Westbrook's contract, but in order to acquire Turner, they need to add multiple unprotected first-round picks, something that Rob Pelinka has been hesitant to do so far because in 2027 and 2029, I expect my Los Angeles Lakers to be the equivalent of dog on the basketball court. As for the Clippers, they can add more value without a first-round pick by adding one of their desired forwards, such as Robert Covington or Amir Coffey. But in order to make the trade go through, the Los Angeles Clippers would likely need to attach some sort of draft capital for Miles Turner. This trade in the long term could be something amazing or terrible, as Turner is an unrestricted free agent after this season, and without an extension for 2023,
I don't think we don't need Miles Turner, bro. We got
Similar to the
Zubac.
next player on this list, except he's getting paid double what Turner is getting paid and is having the worst season of his career. In 2019, D'Angelo Russell signed a 4-year contract worth $117 million. And at the time, he was an all-star, averaging 21 points, 7 assists, while shooting 37% from 3. Following a sign and trade that brought D'Angelo Russell to the Golden State Warriors, he was traded to the team that he actually originally wanted to sign with, the Minnesota Timberwolves. And afterwards, we all expected him to create magic with Karl Anthony Towns, the #1 overall pick in his respected NBA draft. But now the year is 2022, and D'Angelo Russell as a starter is putting up 13.6 assists and a career-low 31% from 3. Before this year, you could make the argument that Russell's scoring numbers went down as a result of being the third option on a team with Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. But now in a season where he's struggling to shoot the basketball and just score in general, it makes you wonder what happened to Russell in the offseason. D'Angelo is getting paid $31 million this season, and it's safe to say the next contract he signs won't be anywhere near the amount unless the Timberwolves trade D'Lo to a team that helps save his season. One flashy name you'll hear often is the Los Angeles Lakers, and as cute of a story it would be to see him go back to the team that originally drafted him, this would be unlikely. But the two most likely teams to acquire D'Angelo Russell would have to be the Washington Wizards and the New York Knicks. The Wizards just plain and simple need an upgrade over Monte Morris and their starting backcourt, and adding D'Angelo Russell could make a surprisingly good team even surprisingly better. As for the New York Knicks, Evan Fournier and Quentin Grimes are splitting time in the starting backcourt alongside Jalen Brunson, and even adding D'Angelo Russell would give the offense 2 guards who can handle the basketball, but also give the Knicks more options off of the bench. I also am just trying to rationalize a D'Lo to the New York Knicks trade because typically the New York Knicks are where point guards' careers go to die, and I can actually see this happening to him. I hope it doesn't. But the next player on this list has essentially been on the trade block for the entirety of his career. It wouldn't be an NBA trade deadline without John Collins' name just being brought up at least once now, would it? Before the 2021 season, the Hawks signed John Collins to a 5-year, $120 million contract, hoping that he and Trae Young would carry Atlanta into the future. However, with the emergence of 4th-year forward DeAndre Hunter and 3rd-year big man Onyeka Okongwu, the Atlanta Hawks figured they are better off using the assets from a John Collins trade to build around Trae Young, as opposed to paying Collins over $25 million a year to average 12.5 points and 6 boards as a starting forward. Look, I'm not saying that John Collins has regressed, because to be honest, he hasn't. He just moved down as a scoring option with the arrival of DeJounte Murray. But regardless of that, it's not worth paying your 3rd or 4th scoring option $25 million a season. Whoever acquires Collins will see his statistics take a huge leap when he's finally a primary scorer. And if any team is going to acquire Collins, it won't be the Utah Jazz, who reportedly turned down a 1-for-1 trade of Collins for Lauri Markkanen. Another team that has been heavily linked with Collins is the Phoenix Suns. The Suns have been looking to move on from Jay Crowder, and adding John Collins to the starting 5 next to DeAndre Ayton would make an already contending team even more versatile. The only problem with this deal is Phoenix does not want.
I feel like Jay Crowder is one of those guys who just, you put him on a team, bro, whether it's the Dallas Mavericks, the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, whoever it is, I feel like he just compliments them. I know his stats aren't crazy or anything like that, but he's just a good role player to have on your team. So that could work. Yeah. I see that.
To take on the next 4 years of Collins' $120 million deal. Unlike the next player on this list, who has all the talent in the world and is on a contract cheaper than 99% of other players, but still cannot perform. James Wiseman was the 2nd overall pick in the 2020
What happened to James Wiseman?
Draft. 1 pick after Anthony Edwards and 1 pick before LaMelo Ball. He was supposed to take the reins from Stephen Clay during the Warriors dynasty and was supposed to be breaking.
What happened to James Wiseman? Didn't he come back this season?
James Wiseman simply has not performed to the level that many have expected. In 2020, during Wiseman's rookie season, he had torn his meniscus, and after having multiple surgeries, would miss the entirety of the 2021 season. In 2022, Wiseman's comeback season, he's averaged less than 7 points, less than 4 rebounds, and averages just 13 minutes a game. And recently, he was sent down to the G League. James Wiseman hasn't been the dominant player he was hyped up to be as the 2nd overall pick. And with Wiseman's rookie contract quickly coming to an end, extend, the Warriors might be inclined to trade him for anything they can get before they let him walk in free agency. Bear in mind, historically, big men have taken a lot longer to develop than your average guard or forward, but the Golden State Warriors are in a very unique situation where they have a plethora of young talent in addition to proven veterans that they also need to extend. So Wiseman won't be on the radar for one specific team. If anything, all other 29 NBA teams will keep an eye on Wiseman. Firstly, because this is where you could get James Wiseman at a cheap price for trade since he hasn't produced much during his first 3 seasons. Secondly, he's still young and has all the potential that he had when he was the 2nd overall pick. Finally, teams are hoping a change of scenery in a less demanding environment might help James Wiseman become the superstar he seems like he's capable of being. Hopefully on a new team, James Wiseman can live up to the potential nearly every single NBA analyst said he had. Similar to the next player on this list who was balling out, was brought in to save a franchise, but injuries ended up ruining any chance that he had. The Hornets are second to last place in the Eastern Conference.
Say LaMelo.
So holding on to nearly 33-year-old Wayne Gordon Hayward, who's getting paid over $30 million a season and is contracted through 2024, seems useless. Hayward is averaging just over 17 points, 4 boards, and 4 assists per game, all on elite 3-point shooting. And instead of trying to make a late run,
those aren't bad numbers.
To trade Hayward for draft capital or a few young pieces in order to build around franchise.
Trade him. He's putting up 17, 4, and 4. I mean, I know he's not prime Jazz Gordon Hayward, but still, those are solid numbers right there, man. Those are solid numbers. I mean, but you know, his contract is outrageous.
Cornerstone LaMelo Ball. Like many other players on this list, Gordon Hayward is linked to the Los Angeles Lakers, but this time it's not an unfounded rumor.
It's the Lakers
on Twitter,
all the
Hayward
time.
liked a tweet that mentioned the idea of trading Westbrook to the Hornets for Hayward and a few other pieces. Although Hayward might like the sound of that, his $30+ million contract might have a thing or two to say about that.
I don't think that's gonna work.
Realistically, the Cleveland Cavaliers could be the best spot for an aging Gordon Hayward.
Maybe.
The team doesn't seem to have a natural fit at the 3 position.
Just make him a bench
Cedi
player.
Osman and Karis LeVert. And adding Hayward to an already star-studded lineup could help push the Cavaliers even further into contending conversation. However, I don't think it's really necessary, and to be honest, I think the Cavaliers already have a good roster, so I highly doubt this could happen. Another team that could look to add Hayward would be the Atlanta Hawks in the form of a John Collins, Gordon Hayward player swap. Obviously, additional assets would need to
That'd be nice. LaMelo to John Collins for lobs.
Because when Hayward's contract expires, that money will be opened up to pay DeJounte Murray, especially giving the Hawks a 2-year
and he's probably going to be a second option
position, similar to the next player on this list who's getting paid a bag and is a bucket off the bench. However, because of his contract, cannot find a new team. Similar to guys like John Collins and Miles Turner, it feels like Eric Gordon is on the trade block every single season. In 2022, a nearly 34-year-old Eric Gordon is putting up 13 points and 2 assists per game on 35% shooting from 3 while playing 30 minutes per game. Not great, but not necessarily horrific either. However, when you consider Gordon is getting paid $20 million not just this season,
$20 million,
well, it becomes abundantly clear as to why no one is willing to take on Gordon's contract. That is, everyone except for a few choice teams. One of those teams obviously being the Lakers, but until they can find a way to dump Westbrook's contract, it will continue to be an unrealistic destination. Besides LA, the Knicks and Grizzlies are both popular landing spots for the 3-point specialist. The Knicks are just behind the Lakers for worst 3-point percentage in the NBA. Plus, they don't really have a true 2-guard with both Quentin Grimes and Evan Fournier splitting time at the position, so adding Eric Gordon would finally mean that the Knicks have a consistent face at shooting guard. As for the Grizzlies, they're the definition of average from 3.
You sure about that?
They rank 15th in the NBA, but they definitely have the roster to maneuver a trade, as Danny Green is making $10 million this season, however is yet to play a game so far. If the Grizzlies have their hearts set on Eric Gordon, all they need to do is package Danny Green with a few draft picks and EG is all theirs. Similar to the next
Danny Green for
Danny Green for this year is heavily targeted by
Danny Green for
still hasn't played all season.
Eric Gordon, that's pretty nice.
On this list not to play all season, and that's because the Phoenix Suns refused to extend Jay Crowder in the offseason and looked to trade him instead.
That's a steal right
Last
there.
season, Jay Crowder averaged 9 points and 5 boards a game, shooting 35% from 3. Crowder is owed $10 million this season, so any team that is up against the cap won't be able to make a move for Crowder. However, two teams that have been heavily linked to Crowder so far are the Milwaukee Bucks and the Chicago Bulls. Both teams look to use Crowder in a similar role off the bench. The Bucks want to use him as a backup to Brook Lopez, who right now is the only stretch big on the roster. As for the Bulls, Vucevic and Drummond are both solid big men. However, similar to the Bucks, Nikola Vucevic is the only viable stretch big on the roster. So adding Jay Crowder off the bench would be a solid way to maintain their offense. Will Jay Crowder get traded? Who knows? But getting paid $10 million to not play basketball is a pretty sweet deal. Let us know if we left anyone off this list in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.
W video. Shout out to Flight Mike, man. You know, I watch him, but you know, we never really react to, you know, Flight Mike. So it's good to react to Flight Mike. I think a lot of these are very interesting. I think probably the hardest one to make would probably be Russell Westbrook, because there's not too many teams where you see Russell Westbrook actually, like where I would see Russell Westbrook actually going and benefiting playing for that specific team. So yeah, man. But yeah, next video is probably more than likely going to be a video out of the norm. After editing this video, I'm going to go turn around and, you know, find a video. But nevertheless, man, this is NOT signing off, man. Love you guys. Peace. Gotta go check on these dogs, man. Always fighting all the time, man. Always fighting. Love you guys. Peace. Coming with the second video. Go to the homepage. Check it out. Go to the video section. And it should be up there. I'm probably gonna upload them at the same time. But yeah. Peace.